The John Carter movie was just nigh unwatchable. I feel bad about saying this because in the time between me deciding to watch the movie and actually watching it, I read the original trilogy of books that it's based on, and I loved the books. They were so fun. They were so exciting. It was like watching Dune, but actually capable of interesting people. It was everything people find interesting about Dune, but then also everything people find interesting about Blue People Avatar, and also most of the things that people find interesting about Star Wars. People talk about, oh, Dune is the grandfather of all science fiction, but I'm like, no, obviously, after reading it, it's John Carter now. John Carter is the man now. And so I don't want to criticize the movie because I've had such a great fun discovery learning this about John Carter. Now I've also read a bunch of stuff about how complex the movie was and how long Hollywood has been trying to make this and how much the creators cared about the material. And how, in a sense, they're really good storytellers. They know it wasn't maybe the best movie ever, and they know they had these problems, and they know there were all these issues that are how it culminated in being a bomb, a lot of which don't have to do with the film not being the greatest, that just have to do with company politics, and basically, the quick version is, half the reason they made John Carter was that Disney wanted their own Star Wars, but then, after production on John Carter had started, they got into talks to start buying Star Wars, so they were like, well, we don't need our John Carter anymore. This is a movie that for like over a decade, Tom Cruise was aiming to be the star of. But now, the actual movie. The movie looks great, and you can see the bones of a lot of good stuff, but it is a film that is just taken into an alley and murdered by the pacing. Like, first it's getting mugged in the alley, and then it's getting beaten up, and then it's getting beaten up some more, and then it's finally shot. Everything moves too fast. There's not enough time to let moments breathe. There's not enough time to let the characters breathe. There's not enough time to get used to this world. It just bounces too fast from moment to moment, and it becomes nigh impossible to care about. I want to care about the characters, but I can't possibly actually lay down any proper empathy for them. In the book, it works because we have John Carter's narration, and so we have his complexity and his intelligence and his empathy being drawn out upon every little event that happens. And I think the creative team behind this knew that. It's not like they did a one-to-one adaptation. They're not idiots. The guy who directed this directed Wall-E and Finding Nemo, and after John Carter, he went and directed Finding Dory, which made $1 billion at the box office. But it seems there is a reason that this property has been continuously in development for so long. It is just kind of a hard sell, and in this case particularly, my reading of it as a fan and as a writer, and with the benefit of 12 years after the movie has come out to think about it and scrutinize it from every angle without corporate pressure on me, is that this is essentially Jordan playing baseball. Michael Jordan was the best basketball player ever, and then he tried to go over and play baseball, and he wasn't the best baseball player ever. And that's what this was. The director of John Carter is one of the greats when it comes to directing animation, and a lot of that skill did transfer to live action, but I think, frankly, not enough of it transferred. This was a property that needed an A-game, top-of-their-level live-action director. Instead, they got an A-level animation director, only put forth maybe a B-level effort on his first time making a live-action feature. Honestly, B is generous. I'd really put it at more of a D. But it's a shame, because, like I said, it has great roots, and I can see the ghost of a fairly good movie in there. It just couldn't claw its way forth from the muck this time around. But I've kind of fallen in love with the property. I can't say I'd recommend this movie, but if you want to watch it to see what all the fuss is about, you probably will have a good time, and at least a good time talking afterwards about why it wasn't very fun. We might look back on 2012 John Carter and see not an embarrassment, but the effort that made a fan base that laid the groundwork for something special in the future. And I would say the odds of that happening are fairly good.